I was on Reverb last week and I saw something I've never seen in my life. However, I knew I had to have it. So, what's in this giant guitar box? Oh, wait, it's tiny. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. This is a really cool find for the museum. Put yourself in the mindset. In the 80s, you're walking into a store, and the store wants you to learn about a new budget-level offering from the Big G. Feast your eyes on this. An original Gibson Sonex poster board type thing. The dealer would take this and nail it into their wall, and then they would display a Sonex on it. You know, something similar to this. But what's really cool is the fact that, look at the branding. It's still called Sonex by Gibson. Most people are familiar with the Gibson Sonex having this logo that reads the Gibson Guitar Company USA. However, very early on, there are versions that actually say Sonex by Gibson. So that makes me think these things were created very early on in its marketing, because this is all about saying Sonex this, Sonex that. It's by Gibson, but not a Gibson. Because you gotta remember, these things were the multiphonic body design that were outsourced, and they used Japanese hardware. Still has the single cutaway design, 3-point adjustable exposed coils. They're talking about the 2 height adjustment screws on the left and 1 on the right. High output performance. 22 frets, 24 3/4 inch scale, all that good stuff. But then it tells you to ask for literature and prices, which I imagine could have looked like a little holder right there that you could take one of these booklets out to learn more about the Sonex series. Now there's no holes to suggest that it was actually there. You would actually have to ask for it, and it's probably a pre-owner's manual. Now if you're curious about what material this is made out of, seems to be some sort of like a soft wooden particle board. Something like my new old stock 70s Gibson dealer sign. Which, feeling it, yeah, it's about the same. This just has a little bit more finishing to it. Sadly, it's a little bit buggered up down here, but I was just hoping UPS wasn't going to crack the thing in half in transit. And just in case you've missed these Sonex reviews, there's 3 different versions of these, the Custom, Standard, and Deluxe. The ones you want have the coil splitter switch on it, because instead of the velvet brick, they get upgraded to the dirty fingers, which have a lot of value to themselves now because of the other guitars that they were put in. But here's what the wiring out of one of those looks like, all done up on a cool little poster board. If I just paint it like this, that'd be fun. Buy the upgrade today. Stuff like this for the museum is invaluable, but I found it on Reverb. I think he was asking like $1,500, $2,000. He had this really ugly, beat up, signed white Sonex, so I messaged him and I was like, would you consider just selling the display? Because I was trying to feel him out to see if he was one of those guys that thinks his regular Sonex is worth $1,000. And turns out, yep, that's about what he was looking at. So that put me into this thing for about $500, which, I mean, it's not my ideal price to pay, but you're never going to see another one because most of these are probably broken, thrown away, who knows. So it matches well with this Sonex that has retained its satin finish. And now it's got a story of how it got dinged. It was hanging off the display. So now I'm curious, do more of these exist for the other models, or is it just because this was a brand new thing? Feel free to chime in if you were in the stores at that time. But speaking of stores of our time, let's hear about one of the best ones, Sweetwater. Sweetwater is a great place to buy all your new gear, and that's from electric guitars to pianos, orchestral instruments. My favorite thing is the fact that you can pick out the instrument that you want, from your weight down to the serial number to the kind of top. When I'm looking for something special, I always go to Sweetwater, and they're going to hook you up with a sales engineer that's going to not only help you with this sale, but many of other sales down the road as well. I think I've been with mine for nearly 15 years now. So thank you, Sweetwater, for being a long-term sponsor of my show. Our next guitar, I told you guys, I want a modern victory for my collection, and I'm looking for the very right specific wood grain that'd be worth holding on to. And as luck would have it, as soon as I finish my review, a unicorn shows up. Look at the beauty of this one. Super nice flame top, same color as what we reviewed. But nice and wide, not too pinstripey. Nah, I'm just kidding. I didn't buy this one for the top. It's good. I kind of still prefer my review piece because I like that it has a little bit of wood grain going on underneath the flamage. And I would say the flame is maybe just a little bit wider. And this one has more of like a nice lime color in the center. It's not too overly yellow. Whereas this, I mean, that's a stark night and day difference. That's why I hate only being able to review one of each example, because it's like, They vary. These are hand-done things, so I guess keep in mind they do have a color difference. But this one's a unicorn for a different reason. Wait until you see this. It's got a figured mahogany back. We just happened to win the wood grain lottery and get all this figuring. That is a lot of fun. Still a two-piece back, but hey, it's something interesting. If I'm going to hold one back for preservation, I guess you might as well have something like that. That is very cool. I still have no regrets picking that one up too. I love the new modern Victory, much more than the originals. Although I vastly preferred the left color, but I guess now that I've got it out of the case, it's not quite as extreme. But next up, we've got a couple of small packages. I needed a set of these pickups to restore something before I decided to review it, and I got lucky and it just happened to show up before I broke down and decided, alright, I'll just review it with the non-original pickups. Do you know what these are? Series 7 tar-back coil splittable pickups. You can only find these in like 2 main models. One of them being a 25/50th anniversary, another one being some sort of a semi-hollow that nobody ever knows or talks about. Certainly we'll just be reviewing another 25/50 in some sort of a different color. Now, unfortunately, the gold is pretty worn on these, so if anybody happens to have functioning Series 7 tarbacks in your parts drawer that are in better gold condition than this, please let me know, but these will make an okay Band-Aid, I think. But sadly, these pickups are well known for dying, so you have to check each individual wire. So one of them is your hot, and there's 2 different versions of this pickup that I found so far. One of them reads 8 and 4, the other one should be like 16 and 8. So this is kind of the hotter, almost 17. Then the other lead is 8.5. Then our bridge, we've got an 811 on this lead, and a 16 on the hot lead, so perfect. These pickups are a little bit tricky to find for sale separately, so beggars can't be choosers as far as like the gold goes, and yeah, the leads have been extended. And next up, let's talk humidification. Nah, just kidding. Well, that topic is very important, especially for us guitar collectors and lovers. We need to talk old Gibson manuals. I found a bulk listing on Reverb for a pretty fair price. Generally speaking, I don't pay crazy money for this stuff, because most of it you can find it for sale from someone who just wants it gone. But occasionally you run across something that you've never seen before. Harmonica bridge. So this tells me it's probably early 70s. Oh, nice. It's got the picks, the crazy picks, and the vintage straps that would actually come with some of these guitars. And vintage crazy capos. Oh, and occasionally you do find those things still kicking around when it suggests using them. And then a string box, regular strings, the palm mute. I think Steve Howe had one of those on one of his guitars. Original stationery from Gibson from the 70s with all these old price lists. Now, I do believe I have some of these in my collection. One day I need to go through it and get rid of what I don't need anymore. But I've actually seen like whole dealer cases of these for sale before. So this must have been a smaller version of that sent out to a dealer, because most of these are in like really prime condition. So one of these days, I think I should just make some shorts where we go through these, because like a full video, I don't know if that's going to hold your guys' attention or not. And sometimes it's better just to look rather than me ramble on and try to make commentary out of stuff. Well, this is all really clean. Then here's a price list from 1973, Orville Gibson over there. Did they actually mount some of those stock? They must have just got taken off. Oh my. Yeah, that's cool. Haven't seen one of these before. Technically black and white, but the yellow coloring kind of fills in the voids to my eyes. Because sometimes you'll run across a model that nobody knows anything about anymore. Like, look here, Les Paul Artist Series cases. If only we could still buy them for $120. But like right here, look, that must be a prototype version of the case, because the ribbon eventually spanned this way. This is kind of a cool late 90s, early 2000s Gibson bass promo. You don't see all these models very often, especially those two. And we've got Nicky 6 poster on the back if you like the Thunderbird 4. Here's an old one. So this actually looks like a product catalog. It has all the cool fancy stuff. I like it when I can see like the Les Pauls and things in here. So far it's a bunch of arch tops, which doesn't really interest me that much, but other guys do. I like the Charlie Christian model, that's cool. Yeah, there we go, Les Paul Artist. You don't always find info on them. There's an Artist Sin, Standard 80 Elite, straight up Les Paul Custom, Pro Deluxe, Standard, Flying V2, L5S. Some double necks, ES artists. So this tells me we're probably into the early 80s if the TLP has been taken out of here. So the SG and the Paul. Hey, our Sonex! Standard and Deluxe. See your dealer for more info. They hand you this book. Now this one, I believe I already have because somebody gifted it to me. Or maybe this one's bigger, I'm not sure, but it talks about the Les Paul Ultima and all the different fretboard inlays that you could have from Harp Lady, Tree of Life, Butterfly, etc. The Florentines and Bantam series. Those weird things. The Swing Masters, these are cool. Ooh, Zach Wild. You guys don't know about that, but my channel members do. Then I love the feel of this paper. Very formal and fancy. Talking about the Gibson Falcon. I thought this was funny. The Monster. Looks like I got maybe multiple copies here. I've never seen a 12-string version of the Heritage. It's got the trapeze, tailpiece, stock, and everything. All right. I love these old classicals from Gibson. Usually they need neck resets and stuff nowadays, and Gibson was talking about bringing those back, but it seems they might have shelved that idea. But all right, troglodytes, I think that's enough fun for tonight. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow on the next one. Take care. What are you still doing here? I said the episode's over. Go away. Alright, it's nothing special. There is one more box. I just happened to be on Reverb when one of these got listed, so I've got another one of these Charlie Star Les Paul Juniors. But oh, I think this is my favorite one of the three. I know you might just think, oh, you're trying to sell it. Of course you're going to say that. But does that not remind you of Rosewood figuring? I don't know, I might have to think twice about letting this one go. It's got that same dot as my first review piece right there too. But I really like that chocolatey, streaky wood grain on this one. Does it have it on the back too? To a lesser extent. But the knot did go all the way through. This one's not as stinky as my second one, so it must have been finished a little bit longer. I'd have to compare the serial numbers. But even then, that doesn't necessarily mean they were finished in that order. The neck was just stamped those days. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this one. I'm glad you guys stayed to the end to appreciate this with me. All right, now this time, we will say goodbye. Still here? All right, we got a couple more. Nah, just kidding.
Get out of here. Have a rough day.